Hey everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
All I want to know is if you got your popcorn ready. Do you got your popcorn ready?
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
I said, are you strong? They said, I'm strong if you strong. And I said, we strong then.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Darren McCarty gets his shots in at Claude Lemieux. And look who came all the way out to try to help. Patrick Waugh. Oh, my goodness.
You are listening to the Doc and Jock Show on the Detroit Sports Podcast.
DetroitSportsPodcast.com presents to you the Doc and Jock Sports Podcast. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me is my favorite co-host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz?
The longest damn intro ever. Been trying to get you to shorten this forever. You just keep adding to it.
No, it won't be that short. It can't.
It's like the never-ending intro. By the way, I hate Michigan roads. Let's just get this out of the way real quick. They suck. They're horrible. It's like driving on the damn moon. Lost another rim. This will be the third time in a year and a half that I've lost a rim because of freaking potholes. I'm tired of this stuff. It's horrible, dude. Sick of it.
Yeah, but by now, don't you
I'm in a great mood for this podcast, too, so let's get this stuff going right now.
I just got a quick question, though. But don't you, by now, after getting experience on the roads, kind of know how to weave in and out of the potholes?
Yeah, generally I do that. But this
What happened
morning,
today?
I had a giant truck that was sitting there riding my line, my lane, and he kind of pushed me over a little bit. And I knew there was this giant, it's like a 6-foot long pothole. I knew it was there. I just had, I was like half asleep when I was driving this morning. Totally forgot about it, trying to give this giant truck some room. So I'm hugging the right side of my lane. And as I approached it, I was like, oh, shoot, I couldn't turn out of the way of it, and totally broke the lip on my rim, cracked it right in half. And luckily I was able to get to work. No big deal, but still, it's expensive. I'm tired of this. Michigan roads are awful, dude.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, bro. That sucks. Yeah, it kills a day and makes you frustrated and makes you just want to not get on the roads, and it sucks because now the weather's nice. You want to feel comfortable, but now we got to deal with another stressor, the potholes, Michigan potholes.
Dude, they're like pools. You can go swimming in them. They're awful.
Knock on wood for me. I haven't dealt with potholes in a long time. Never cracked a rim, nothing like that. I'd go through them a lot, especially, in Rochester, if anyone knows. If anyone's listening out there in Rochester Hills, Tinkin Road is the worst. I mean, if you go out to the Palace by there, it's a nice area, but Tinkin Road is 25-mile road. Absolutely horrible. You got people driving in different lanes trying to avoid the potholes. They're that bad.
I just don't understand. There's got to be some type of chemistry formula that you can put together to make roads that last, because this is retarded at this point. All you do is you keep throwing asphalt down, you keep patching the things up. That stuff pops up and rips, and then next thing you know, your car's getting hit with rocks and stones, and then it just ends up a year later after the snow comes, you just rip that right up out of the ground again. So now you've got a bigger hole. It just doesn't make any sense, man. I hate it. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, let's move on from that. Let's get to something very exciting. This time of year, the NCAA tournament kicks off. Everyone's favorite 4 days where there's just nonstop wall-to-wall college basketball. Everyone's filling out their brackets. We'll get a chance to break down Michigan State, what their chances are. We're going to play a round of the Doctors in Session. We're going to have a chance to chat with Justin Rose from WXYZ, give us some insight regarding the tournament and how far he thinks Michigan State can take it. Lots of news going around regarding the NFL. San Francisco linebacker calls it quits. Rookie after 1 year calls it quits. We'll talk about that, break that down, talk about the future of the NFL, and what are these players thinking, giving up a career boatloads of money. And we'll ask a question. Would you take money knowing potentially that you're in a sport that could potentially harm you? We'll break that down. We're going to talk about the Red Wings. My goodness, some issues going down with the Red Wings. They're playing good, but whenever we talk about the Red Wings, the biggest issue has to be the goaltending situation. On a back-to-back situation, Mrazek stopped 42 shots, played much better in the victory versus Pittsburgh, and we got to continue to look at, okay, is Mike Babcock willing to pull the trigger on starting Peter Mrazek at this point in this season? We shall break it down. You ready to kick this bad boy off, cuz?
Yep, let's do it.
Michigan State in the big dance. Great tournament run. Of course, they choked it at the end. Lots of mistakes. Michigan State all year long just having problems closing the deal, like myself, can't close. And in the end, Big 10 runners-up. Wisconsin, by all accounts, everyone's number one in the Big 10, earned a number 1 seed. They won the Big 10 tournament. And Michigan State, number 7 seed, plays tomorrow, 12:40 versus Georgia. Not a cupcake, not an easy game. I don't think that Michigan State is going to, dominate any teams. They're going to have to play well on defense. And Georgia, 20-win team, it's kind of an interesting draw. A lot of people are saying, wow, Michigan State, did they get the fair seed? Did Tom Izzo kind of came out and was like, I don't want to, complain a lot about that, but kind of with the undertones that he didn't like the number 7 seed. Michigan State, they, first off, we have to give them credit. This was a down year. Michigan State is not as talented as they have been in the past, and Tom Izzo still got this team to peak at the right time, and they played a great tournament in the Big 10, and they've earned themselves the right to be in the NCAA tournament. They're going out to Charlotte, and they're going to play Georgia. So your early impressions, what do you think? So what do you think Michigan State's chances are of making a deep run?
The Spartans and Michigan State fans have nothing to complain about. This has been one of Tom Izzo's worst teams that he's ever had to coach, and still, you got a number 7 seed out the deal. I mean, what are we really complaining about here? You're complaining about a 6 or a 7 seed, the difference between maybe 1? I mean, come on, maybe a 5 at the very best. Is that what you're hoping for? Let's be real here. So, I don't know, man. This is such an up and down team. You're right, he's got them to peak at the right time. I can see them making it to the Sweet 16, but at the same time, I can see them getting knocked out in the very first weekend. I can see them maybe getting by the Friday night game and then getting popped on the Sunday game. So I don't know. It's such an up and down team. The farthest I see them getting, I don't see them advancing past the Sweet 16. Not at all. I just don't think they have enough going for them. I don't think they have enough talent to be able to do it. It's a good team. And like we said, Izzo's got them going in the right direction right now. I just don't think they're deep enough. And I think they have bouts where they just lose focus and they don't do what they're supposed to be doing. Just mental lapses. And sometimes when they go to jack up a shot, it's just at the wrong time. There's an easy pass to be made and they're just throwing it at the bucket when you could have sat there and dished the ball off and the guy could have laid it up. Or he had an open lane to where he could get into the lane and put a shot up and then maybe get to the foul line. So I don't know. I see this team having mental lapses, and that's what really I think their downfall has been all season.
What's concerning about Michigan State, cuz they can't close games. And in NCAA tournament games, the pressure's tight. A lot of games come down to the last 4 minutes. I mean, Michigan State versus Wisconsin, 11-point lead. You don't take care of business and hoist the banner for a team that, by all accounts, was not as talented, came together, played such a great tournament. They deserved to win that. And the mistakes at the end of the game were atrocious. Turning the ball over, all you had to do, grab the ball, hold it. Denzel Valentine makes the key mistakes quite a bit, and it's very surprising at that point in the season that Michigan State still made the mistake, and they had the game won. They basically handed it over to Wisconsin. 15 seconds left, you get the ball, you wrap it up. No, Valentine tried to kick it out, and we all saw what happened. Wisconsin takes it down, and even though Michigan State made some mistakes, you get to overtime, you don't score a single basket, you're that discombobulated.
I think that game right there was basically a microcosm of their entire season. You could take that game, and if you were just to lay it out over the course of their entire basketball season for this year, that's exactly what it was. They would sit there and they looked really good for stretches, and then they would just find ways to blow it, or they just lose really close games. These are games that they normally would win. And this is, I think, the second time that Tom Izzo is taking a double-digit loss team into the NCAA finals, and I don't know, man. They're so up and down. It's hard to really peg this team. They've got to be the most inconsistent 7 seed. I don't know.
Now the question is this: the issues that happen late in the game in terms of making key turnovers, not making smart basketball plays. Do you blame Izzo? I mean, he was first to jump all over Valentine. You know, when he makes mistakes, he's known for barking at the players. But I kind of look at Tom Izzo at this point in time. I think that, you know, he got the most out of him. He did a great job getting him to the tournament. Things that Michigan kind of fell off, and they didn't even qualify for the NIT. But Tom Izzo, do you think he's gotten the most out of this talent, or do you think that should he maybe ride them more and try to work on maybe not so much, you know, free throws and things like that, but some issues like mentally in terms of, you know, ball control, security, making the smart play at the end of the game? I just think that a lot of focus was made and talked about regarding the free throws, but it's a lot of things. And I'm really, in my opinion, quite surprised that Tom Izzo coached team struggles that much closing games. Yes, there are issues with talent. We all know that. Brendan Dawson, Valentine, Trice, not, you know, when you look at it, not a collective group of talent that Michigan State's used to. Michigan State's used to having a lot of guys with a lot of talent that can, you know, take them deep in tournament runs. But are you surprised that a Tom Izzo-led team struggles like this with the mental aspect of the game?
I think a lot of this might be just due to him overcoaching and all the pressure that he puts on these guys. Tom Izzo is the first one to sit there and rip a dude's head off and get in your face. And it's a lot of fun to watch Michigan State games because Tom Izzo's face is usually beet red because he's just screaming on the sideline. And I think maybe some of their issues is they play tight because he's always barking at them. He's always yelling. So they sit there and they go into the game and they're, you know, you're a little bit nervous. You don't want to mess up and get ripped by your coach. You know, I mean, this has been going on all year too. So I think some of this might be caused by Izzo because of the way he coaches, because he goes so hard at him. Which, that being said, Izzo is the reason why these guys are here right now. You know, I mean, everything that he's done to get them to this point, they've had a very difficult schedule. Their non-conference schedule is very hard. So I think everything that he's done to get them to this point is the reason why they're sitting where they're sitting right now. It's all because of Izzo. It's all part of his master plan. You know, this team always peaks in March. Every Izzo basketball team has always peaked in March, and this team is not like any other. I just think there are talent deficiencies, and I think these guys have mental lapses, and that's what causes the problems that they have, because I think they just play really tight. You know, I think that at certain points, you as a coach, you have to know what you got going on with your team. You have to know their mental faculties, and you have to know how they play. I think if maybe Tom Izzo let up off the gas a little bit on these guys, let them play a little bit looser, they do a lot better. And you know what? Don't be surprised if Izzo does that. Don't be surprised if Izzo before their first game on Friday night is just kind of real lax, real laid back. He's real talkative with the media. He's having a good time. Don't be surprised if they do like a cut-in of their practice, and their practice is a lot of fun. They got a beach ball getting kicked around or a soccer ball on the basketball court. Don't be surprised if he does that, because that's what he does. He sit there, he'll ride them right into the ground all the way through the Big 10 tourney, and then when March rolls around, he flips a switch, and it's a good time for everybody.
Okay, so just in your opinion, who do you think has to be the team MVP in order for Michigan State to make a deep run? I like Dawson. I think that I'm really surprised, though, at the end of the game versus Wisconsin, he gets an open look. He doesn't drain that. He's got so much talent, and it's just kind of one of those things where he's peaked, and I'm curious and hoping maybe, just maybe, Brendan Dawson can take his game to one more level, maybe be a 20-point scorer every single game. We're going to need that offensive punch because, you know, Valentine's a little bit inconsistent. Trice, if they get hot collectively, they can make a deep run. But in my opinion, I think Brendan Dawson needs to be the guy that steps up and carries this team on his back for them to get to the next level.
I think it's got to be Denzel Valentine. You just said it yourself, he's inconsistent. I think if he shores up his game and his vision, his on-court vision, and the things he's able to do with the basketball when he's looking to pass or when he's looking to make a play, it's unbelievable. You don't usually see a big guy like that be able to move the ball that sure-handedly. And he does a real nice job of it when he's on. When he's off, it's a disaster. But I think if he's on, this team has the potential to go far.
How excited are you about this year's tournament? I know we didn't talk a whole hell of a lot about college basketball this year, and that was due to Michigan State and Michigan's kind of struggle. Once they lost Karis LeVert, I could sense that you probably lost a little bit of interest, and they were, you know, they finished 16-16.
Dude, they were hard to watch after that. That guy, he had all the hopes were pinned on him. He was the guy who was supposed to help carry this team. So after he got hurt, it was all downhill from there.
Is it embarrassing at all? They don't even qualify for the NIT?
I guess, the way I look at it, it's a rebuilding season. It's one of those things, ups and downs. You got to take the good with the bad. I mean, they're not too far removed from a Final Four, and they're not too far removed from playing for a national championship. So We'll see what Beeline does. I like Beeline as a coach. I think he's a good coach. You know, he doesn't get guys like Calipari gets, but he puts a good competitive team out there. And if he can get the 3-point shooters, then this team's in every game that they play.
This tournament, how excited are you for it? Are you going to peek in on it? What are your thoughts about it? Do you fill out a bracket? And how excited are you for this year's version of March Madness, the NCAA tournament?
A little bit's taken off because Michigan's not there. I will watch Michigan State. I'm always excited for this. The first day is great. That Thursday, Friday is outstanding. I don't count, what is it, the Tuesday, Wednesday games? Those, come on now. They consider that's the first round. Come on, it's not the first round. Let's be for real here. But I love the first day. I think it's great. I get out of work early on Thursday. I get out of work early on Friday. So I'm debating on whether or not I go to the gym or not, because I might just go home and just hibernate on the couch and watch everything and just be a giant couch potato for it all. So yeah, no, dude, I'm totally excited for this. I love it, dude. March Madness is incredible. And if you're a gambling degenerate like I know you are, and I am too, this is incredible. Just brackets galore. You're jumping into everybody's bracket, joining their little run. You got to sit there and try to do whatever you got to do. I have a question for you though. Are you a multiple bracket guy? Do you fill out numerous brackets in the same league?
3 years, as far as 3 years back, I could fill out as many as 2 or 3 brackets. Mm-hmm. But as time has progressed, I can't fill it out because I'm not attuned to what the hell's going on. There's so many teams and the talent is spread out so far. I mean, you're going to see a boatload of upsets. I mean, I was reading a story that the average, if you add up all the seeds in the last couple of years, has been like 16 or 17. So you're going to have a 7 seed. You're going to have an 8 seed in the Final Four. It's almost a given. You know that this year Kentucky's going to make a deep run. But after that, how are you going to slot this? I mean, a lot of people are going to have Wisconsin and Duke going deep. But there could be a lot of shifting going around. There could be a lot of upsets. And the talent, you know, in tournament time is great because people step up that we've never heard of, and so that's what makes the storylines great. But dude, I can't fill out multiple brackets because
a few years ago when Steph Curry went off, I mean, made you realize that there was a team named Davison out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, reminded you. But looking at this bracket, dude, I mean, you could almost pencil in every single number one, dude. And you got Kentucky, you got Villanova, Wisconsin, Duke. But you're right. The upset is great. I don't like multiple brackets. I hate multiple brackets. I don't like multiple bracket guy. My dad's multiple bracket guy. I hate it. It drives me nuts. Like, dude, just fill out one bracket because I don't want to hear you talking about how you're sitting there and you're stroking this league when, you know, your other bracket, you've got like 2 points because you only have 2 wins because I don't want to hear about this. And I don't want to hear about how you picked the underdog. You picked that 16 seed who's made it to the Sweet 16 because in your other bracket, you didn't have them going anywhere. What are you doing? So I hate multiple bracket guy. It drives me insane.
And the funny part is you always, when you're in a bracket, have someone that knows really absolutely nothing and is picking based off of what? Jersey colors.
Yeah.
I might try and do that this year. Just go off of, not.
My wife did that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think she ended up taking like second or third place. She ended up losing out when it came time for the championship game because she picked the wrong team. She had, all the way up to the championship game, she had everything going real smooth.
Yeah,
she picked it by mascots and colors.
Yeah, my thoughts on this year's tournament are kind of subdued because you really only have 2 storylines, in my opinion. You're going to have one, is there going to be a team that steps up and beats Kentucky? Kentucky's on the march for 40-0 because that would be some story for a team to go 40 consecutive wins in this day and age. And then Michigan State, how far do they go? We've gotten a little bit of a reaction on Twitter regarding our question, how far does Michigan State go? At Bowler1961 on Twitter says Sweet 16. Now that's a little bit...
Yeah, where do you think they're going? You haven't said yet.
Yeah. I'm going to say that Sweet 16 is probably the peak. I don't think they can make a deep run in this tournament. I think the reason why Tom Izzo got mad regarding the seeding is that their brackets, their matchups are tough. You're going to have to go up against Georgia, a team that is not bad. They don't have really too many signature wins. They went up against Kentucky, got handled like usual. And then you're going to have to play Virginia. Virginia last year, if you remember, in that game, very tight. And
that was a really good game.
That was a really great game, and it went down to the wire. Mm-hmm. And I think their defense is smothering. Mm-hmm. They're averaging, only giving up 51 points a game. So in my bracket, I have them beating Georgia, and I have them losing to Virginia.
Oh, so you see them getting knocked out possibly that first weekend too?
Yeah, I have them knocked out in the first weekend. I just don't see them at the crunch time rising up to the occasion. They're going to have to show me.
Do you think Georgia's going to play them tough, and you think Georgia's going to give them a hard time?
No, I think Michigan State's going to go in there and crush them. I think they're riding high. They're going to play well. I think they're going to get out to probably a 10-point lead at halftime, and they'll ride the momentum. I don't think it depends though. Georgia has some injury issues, but Georgia's athletic. in the SEC, again, athletic players, and Georgia is a team that can cause problems if Michigan State lets them hang around like they tend to do. Michigan State, if they get up to a lead, they need to continue to put the pedal to the metal and take the game over. Because you know what happens with Michigan State?
This is a Georgia team, too, that played Kentucky tough for a half. I mean, they ended up losing it, but they played Kentucky tough, real tough for a half. So
when you watch these tournament games, you always notice Michigan State has these offensive lulls, and
they do.
It's brutal to watch as a fan.
So boring.
You just wish, like with the Pistons, they just had that one superstar guy. Man, I just wish we had Okafor on this team. When we talk about Michigan State, it's kind of like they've plateaued as a program. They're consistent. They get to the tournament, and they get to a lot of Final Fours, but they just can't get to that last peak of being elite and getting consistently to the championship game and getting to, that second national title win. So I don't see that happening in the near future. I just think it's too tough. Kentucky's just like the NBA machine. So I don't think, in my opinion, if you were to ask me if Tom Izzo's ever going to win another one, I would say no. I don't think he's going to win another NCAA title in his career. I just think that the landscape is tough. He may stumble into one. I mean, he may get a group of guys that can play well together, but the NCAA tournament is such a crapshoot. You know how hard it is? Can you imagine how difficult it is to march through that tournament, avoid all the landmines? Forget it. It's tough. And now Tom Izzo is known. The program is a well-known program, so you get the best out of these teams that we play. It's going to be super hard. But yeah, I got Michigan State being one and done. I don't think that they're going to make a successful run this year with the talent they got. And next year, though, there's some promising players coming in. But the Big 10, Wisconsin's the class. Michigan looks good for next year. They got some players coming in that are highly touted. And John Beilein's just a good coach. And he's going to get Michigan to that next level, I think, next year. I think, this year was a one-year hiccup, and you'll see them come back next season and play a strong brand of basketball. But Michigan State, I just wish they can get to that next level. But I think they're going to make it exciting. Must watch Friday, 12:40. That's a little bit of a tough watch. If you were working at that time, if you didn't get off, have you ever, dialed it up, or, have you ever called in and, maybe made up a illness to watch the NCAA tournament?
Never done that. What I have done, though, is I've took a TV into work, and I set a TV up in the break room. And I spent most of the day in the break room. My boss was cool enough like that.
Because can you imagine?
Maryland Gribble, you're the truth. I love you for it.
This Thursday, Friday, over $500 million in productivity is lost. People calling in, people slacking off at work. The NCAA tournament affects the U.S. economy. You believe that?
Yeah, dude. When I worked for a bank, man, I used to sit there and there was an app you could download for your phone. And you could sit there and watch every game on your phone. It was great. That's all I did. I didn't do any work those Thursday and Friday. None whatsoever. None. And my bosses all knew. They're like, why are you even here? And I was like, 'cause I got to get paid, bro. I'm not trying to take personal time. I can watch these games right here on my phone.
No, I can admit.
I feel like you're getting 3 files done for an entire day. That's horrible. They're expecting like 10. I was like, whatever, man. It's cool. It's getting done, right? It's 3 more than I would have got done if I would have took a personal day.
Yeah, I've done the slacking where you kind of check in a little bit and lose some productivity by not accomplishing what you got to do by watching the NCAA tournament. But no, now when you're your own boss, you just, don't schedule as many people and watch a game or two. But no, I'm definitely going to tune in on Friday. Thursday, I'll be watching in the evening time, but it's just a great time. The NCAA tournament is just a great time to kick in, relax, watch some high-quality basketball. I can't wait. Do you by chance have your bracket that you know of? I know you got to have at least one 12 seed advancing. Do you know?
I haven't even filled out a bracket yet.
No bracket yet.
No.
Last minute. Yeah, it's tough to do. I agree with you. But no, I know you're gonna have Kentucky.
It'll be filled out before the tip off of the very first game. But yeah, I'm last minute all day on this, man. Like just haven't done it yet.
All right, let's check in and see what Justin Rose from WXYZ thinks about this subject. He'll be joining us next on the podcast, breaking it down, giving us his thoughts regarding the upcoming NCAA tournament and how he sees Michigan State performing in the tournament. Stay with us after the break. If you're a fan of Michigan, then you have to check out uofmdiehards.com. Check them out on Twitter. Check out their Facebook page. They are a page that's dedicated to all things University of Michigan. They follow every game. They follow recruits. They have great interviews. uofmdiehards.com. DocNJock, check out that website quite a bit. If you're a fan of Michigan, there's no better website to check out than uofmdiehards.com.
I'm go blue, baby.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your support. Lots of ways to support us here at the podcast. If you like what you're listening to, If you enjoy the podcast, if you want us to continue to provide great content every Monday and Thursday, if you want us to continue to take phone calls, just go to our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Click through those banner links. Lots of great online deals. I know everybody that's listening likes to save money. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Click through those banner links, bookmark them, and every time you shop online, nothing extra happens. You get charged no more money. But when you shop online through DetroitSportsPodcast.com, they kick us back a little something, and we can continue to provide great content. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We greatly appreciate it. Yes, sir.
You ain't gotta say too much. Hate when you say that I play too much. When I get too close, I'ma touch that subject. I can read your body. Enough said.
DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Cuz, what do you think of that little bumper music, man? I know you said change it up, and I know you like some Kid Ink.
Yeah, it's a lot better than what we had going on before, dude.
You gotta love some Kid Ink. Get a little hip hop action. I know you like rock music and some hip hop. So, Kid Ink, what are you gonna do? I don't know. That's probably the only music of his that I've ever listened to. So I don't even know how I came across it, but I know it made its way to the podcast. So you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
All right. Justin's dialed us up. He's on his way to cover the Michigan State basketball program. Justin's on the line right now. From WXYZ, host of the Channel 7 Sports Cave, Justin Rose on the line to chat Michigan State playing Georgia this Friday in the NCAA tournament. Justin, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm doing all right. Just getting off the it's so funny how tournament time works. The highs and the lows. I was just at the Michigan State-Wisconsin championship game, and now all of a sudden I'm on the road getting ready to do it all over again. So it's a fun time.
Michigan State tips off versus Georgia Friday, 12:40 p.m. A lot of people are overlooking Georgia. They have a talented team as well. A lot of people are looking for Michigan State to advance and to play Virginia. But your early thoughts on Michigan State's chances? Also, what are their chances to make a deep run in this tournament?
Well, you know what? I never doubt Tom Izzo in March. They don't make shirts that say January, February, Izzo, April, May on them for any particular reason. The guy is a magician this time of year. Nobody gets his team more prepared for a team, that quickly than that group did. Look at what they did against Wisconsin. I mean, the turnaround and the ability for them to go through a game plan and change the way they played the game against Wisconsin, to be able to have that lead in that game and sure they've not blown it at the end, win that game based around, a 12-hour turnaround. That's unbelievable. First off to Georgia. Look, this is the first time Michigan State played them in the history of their basketball team. They've never seen the Bulldogs. And it's kind of funny. You think about Georgia, you think about the Michigan State Georgia football games over the past few years. A little bit of a long rivalry, but I don't give Georgia the credit that they may deserve simply based upon the fact that they're from the SEC. I mean, that conference is garbage. It's hot garbage. Someone was telling me that it's like putting Michigan State in the Horizon League and having them play that conference schedule. That's how bad the SEC is year in and year out. So while Georgia has, 20 wins, 22 wins, who are they against? None of them are against Kentucky, so they might have stole one against Arkansas. Do you think Arkansas is going to go to the national championship game this year? You look at the competition up and down and what Michigan State has to go through in the Big 10, even though the Big 10 was down this year, that up and down everyday grind of competition is something that the Spartans are used to. They just went through a tournament and beat, a good team in Maryland and a good team in Ohio State. Georgia they just don't jump off the page. Now, looking at the matchups, I really do think that Georgia's athletic. There's no doubt that they're an athletic team. But at the end of the day, Travis Trice and Brandon Dawson aren't losing their first NCAA game in the first round this year. There's just, especially after that loss, knowing that they should have and could have won a Big Ten title, they're going to be hungry. I just don't see them exiting on the first weekend. Yeah,
now a big concern with the Spartans is their ability to close out games. Obviously, we saw them, kind of struggle versus Minnesota at home, the game versus Wisconsin. Aren't you a little bit surprised that a team coached by Tom Izzo struggles with free throw shooting and struggles with closing out games, making turnovers, and not putting teams away when they should?
I think it's a little bit interesting that this year's team has not yet figured it out. Usually, he'll have teams that figure it out in some of those first couple of games, and then they'll do the rest. They'll do the job the rest of the way. But you're right. I mean, I was at that Minnesota game. I was unbelievably terrible how they didn't close that game out. And then Denzel Valentine making a couple of boneheaded mistakes over the past few games, not just the one recently. He had the foul with up 2 points at Indiana. He fouled him for 2 free throws to tie the game. Luckily, Indiana missed that game. So I am shocked that they haven't been able to figure out how to close games. But that's because I just don't think that they have that leadership that they've had in the past. Brandon Dawson is a quiet leader. He's not the guy who's going to get fouled and go on the free throw line and sink 2 free throws every time down at the end of the game. Teams know they're not fouling Travis Trice at the end of the game. So you're putting guys like Tum Tum. You're putting guys like Matt Costello. You're putting guys on the line, don't have that clutch finish performance to them. And it's come back to haunt them more times than not. And you bring up a great point. I mean, the NCAA tournament games are won and lost in the last 4 minutes. I've seen both ways because they're close. They're all competitive. They're the best teams in the country. So you got to be able to close. You got to be able to finish. I do think that Izzo teams learn, especially right after something happens. So the fact that they didn't close in their last game, I wouldn't expect that to creep back in on them too soon, simply because it's fresh in their minds.
Now, have you had a chance to fill out a bracket? How far you got our Spartans going?
Oh, you're gonna ask me that. I have the Spartans in the Final Four. I can't stop it because I actually have Virginia getting upset in a couple of my brackets. As good as the Cavaliers are, I mean, how good are they? They're not a team that's unbeatable. They're just like Wisconsin. They're a possession-based team. I would expect it to be just like last year's Virginia game, where it's 52-50, and there's not a lot of scoring. The defense is going to win that game, but Michigan State's a three-point shooting team. They've gotten this far on their three-point shooting. Their toughness and their rebounding has stepped up. Now they need to put all of those things together. I think they can beat a Virginia team in the second round should they face them. And I've got Villanova losing to Louisville. I've got Louisville, Michigan State in the Elite Eight playing for a spot in the Final Four. Rick Pitino, Tom Izzo, I mean, everyone would want to see that matchup. Rematch from a couple of years ago when Pitino's got him. But both teams can play as well as anybody, and both teams cannot play that well. So it'll be interesting to see how those two teams fare.
Justin Rose from WXYZ joining us. He has Michigan State in the Final Four. You got to love it. No, you are. You and I are both MSU grads, but I'm trying to be a little bit more objective. I think that Virginia's defense only allowing like around 50 to 51 points a game, they're going to be looking to get revenge and maybe possibly to get revenge on also Brandon Dawson, who dropped 20-plus points last year. So I got Michigan State one and done just due to the fact that, Michigan State's a little bit inconsistent. I don't think that in the crunch situations that a team just learns how to overcome those things. Although it's a Tom Izzo team, I just think that Michigan State will win versus Georgia, and I think that they're going to go out in a tough game versus Virginia. Lots of people this week are kind of talking about the state of college basketball, looking at some things and looking at some ways that it can be improved, possibly shortening the shot clock to, 24 seconds, not allowing as many timeouts. Just your thoughts on college basketball, the state of college basketball, and what you've watched this year and possible ways to improve the game.
I love college basketball. I might not be the right person to talk to about this because I think the game is great how it is. The only problem that I have with college basketball is they got to figure out how soon you can go to the NBA. 1 year is too short to be in college. You're disrupting the flow of the game, of recruiting, and I don't like that kids can come for one semester of class and then check out. And I just think that needs to change. They either need to stay for 3 or just have the opportunity to go right to the NBA after high school. I don't like how that's the rule that I would like to see change. As far as the shot clock goes, I mean, look, they're going to put the three-point line out further in the next few years. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. The game is going to continue to get tougher and tougher to play, and they're going to find ways to speed it up and make it more high-scoring. That stuff's all fine and good. I don't really have much of an opinion on a shortened shot clock or anything like that because I just think that the biggest problem that faces college, not only basketball but athletics, is the NCAA's ticky-tack, in and out policies on a lot of the issues that are plaguing student athletes and this eligibility rule. That's what's killing college basketball, in my opinion. Because you got to think about it. The best players are coming for a hot second, one season, and they're going to the NBA. Most of them aren't ready to go to the NBA. They wash out in the D League somewhere. So what are you doing? Stay in school. get 3 years of an education. It's better for everybody involved. I think the NBA would get a more polished product that can put a better product on the NBA floor, because now all these kids are getting drafted out of first year, and they're projects. They're project kids. It's like going and playing in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's also been a lot of talk is the NBA is not really helping college basketball because they allow this, and they're not really enforcing a lot of these things. They want these players to come early, and just based on the draft, they don't mind players sitting. They don't mind players sitting on the bench as long as they're selling jerseys and doing things like that. But to wrap it up, do you have Kentucky winning it all? And based on your observations, is Kentucky one of the top 5 all-time great college basketball teams that you've seen?
Yeah, I got Kentucky winning it all in a lot of my brackets. I have them beating Wisconsin in the Final Four, and then that team. Who's my other Final Four team? I forget. I don't think it's Duke. It might be Duke, but I have Kentucky up there. I mean, look, I've seen this Kentucky team play in a small gym in Moon Township, Pennsylvania, 2 years ago when Willie Cauley-Stein was a freshman, and that kid is huge. I mean, there's 2 of those kids because Anthony Towns might be better than he is. So you've got 2 7-footers on the inside. I mean, forget about it. And then you have, all those weapons on the outside, the ability to score. I think Calipari's got the best team he's had since he's had the unibrow himself back in college when they won it all in 2011. I just don't think anyone's going to be able to slow them down. Wisconsin's got the best chance, but that's a Final Four matchup if that's going to happen. That's the fun thing about college hoops. You get a taste of how good the good teams are in the beginning of the season, and then you have a whole season to see them play the best teams again out of the conference. So I think Kentucky's got it.
All right. Justin Rose, you can follow him on Twitter at JRoseWXYZ. Thanks for your time, Justin. All right. Justin Rose, WXYZ.com. You can follow him on Twitter. He's a good follow. Funny dude. He doesn't take sports too seriously, and he's a funny dude. He's a good follow on Twitter. So give him a follow and check out his work at WXYZ.com and the Channel 7 Sunday Sports Cave every Sunday, 11 a.m. All right. Are you ready for a round of the Doctors in Session? I know that you've got 3 great questions lined up, and I'm ready to deliver.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here, I'm the man, woo!
All right, what are your thoughts about Jameis Winston not attending the NFL draft? This has been a hot button topic. There's maybe some thoughts that the NFL doesn't want him there, that he's saying that he wants to spend time with his family. What do you think's going on here?
His management has gotten to him and said, hey, we got to look long-term about this. Your reputation right now is horrid. I mean, people think Tampa Bay is probably struggling right now whether to decide to take him number 1. By all accounts, the consensus is Jameis Winston's going to be taken number 1 by Tampa Bay, and he's got a lot to prove regarding his attitude. And so I think his people got to him and said, hey, listen, we got to do some damage control. We got to reshape your image from the ground up. And let's not go to Chicago where there could be temptation. Let's not do that. Let's just try to start the process of making everyone think that, hey, I'm a good family guy. I'm a good dude. And instead of going to Chicago and just, giving Roger Goodell that big bro hug, that's the only thing I'm going to miss. I mean, when the number 1 pick is made, and if it's Jameis Winston, they go up to the front, they hold the jersey, give Roger Goodell that big bear hug, and, we get a chance to hear his first interview being the number 1 pick. But I think it's a great idea that he stays home. Start to listen to your management, start to rebuild your brand, and then you can start to have the dollars roll in. Jameis Winston, rocky college past, has to have a clean slate, and I agree with him 100%. And I think more and more people should do that. I mean, the top 5 picks have it made. If you know where you're going to be slotted, it's all good. But they invite more than that. And it's always uncomfortable when there's that one dude that's supposed to be like a top 5 or top 10 pick, and he's just chilling.
The Aaron Rodgers treatment.
The Aaron Rodgers treatment. And it's just so tough to watch because, you got the media just going up to him going, how you feeling? And he's like all tight-lipped, and he's looking at his phone, and it's just really awkward. So I agree. If I was a top pick, I'd stay at home, have a big party. The cameras are going to be there, be surrounded by your friends and family, whoop it up. And I agree 100% with Jameis Winston not attending the draft. It's a good choice. His first correct professional decision. Good job, Jameis.
All right. Does Joe Nathan finish the year as a Tiger, much less their closer?
Oh, God, we got to talk about Joe Nathan.
Mm-hmm. It's starting to.
Yeah, here we go.
Starting. And 162 games of this.
Our closer for the Detroit Tigers, multi-million-dollar franchise, a team that's supposed to compete, has a closer who can't hit 90 on the gun. We can't hit 90 on the gun.
This is bad.
Horrid. Horrible. All last week we had to listen to Joe Nathan struggling with his fastball. He's got to tweak some things. He's going to have to rely on his curveball and his slider. This is a horrid situation. And there is a potential that Joe Nathan gets cut and walks away with a check for $11 million. Does that happen? No. They're not going to be stupid enough to admit that mistake.
Do they just make him their eighth inning guy and put Soria in as their closer? Does Brad Osmond have the cojones to do that?
This is a defining moment because if Joe Nathan doesn't get his fastball back, you're not going to get guys out with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball. So what I see happening is I see Joe Nathan coming up north. He's going to play, the first month of the season. I would say he's going to blow 1 or 2 saves. The fans are just going to light into him each and every opportunity they can to light into him. They're going to, and I think by May 1st, I think he will relinquish the role as the closer. He'll still be on the team. I think he'll be probably used maybe in mop-up duty in the 5th and 6th inning, and you go to Rondon Soria. Listen, the writing is on the wall. I mean, when we signed him from Texas, yeah, he had that 1.4-something ERA, but the miles an hour were starting to dip. I don't know why the management of the Tigers thought that if we sign a 39-year-old guy to that much money that he was going to succeed. I don't get it. When you do research on players, no closer in their late 30s is going to reprieve their stuff when their numbers start to dip. It doesn't happen. They took a stab. It's an epic fail, and Joe Nathan took advantage and got himself a 2-year deal. Can you imagine $11 million to walk away? But I don't think that success is going to happen. I think that the writing is on the wall. It's coming to an end. Joe Nathan will not be the closer May 1st.
Interesting. I like that. Hopefully it's Soria and he gets his act together. All right, your Pistons. They're struggling, dude. You were buying them weeks ago. You put everything on the table. You said those are my dudes. I love them. If I'm gonna buy now. They're in the tank.
I don't sit up here and eat crow too many times, but I said buy the Pistons, sell the Red Wings, and it looked good up front. I mean, you had back-to-back wins versus Chicago and Washington, and what's happened is, and you just can't discount it, Stan Van Gundy gave away all the shooters.
Is that what it is?
He gave away all the shooters.
All right, well, here's a real question. Is Reggie Jackson a problem?
Okay.
He's the guy who they're pinning all their hopes on. They need him to come through. Is he a problem? Do they got to get rid of him?
It's an issue.
Is there a question mark there?
There is an issue right now in terms of how Reggie Jackson is performing. The big thing, though...
He just got yanked for not hustling, dude.
You read my mind. The big thing is not in terms of X's and O's. He'll get that. He's a very talented guy. He's got size, got length. He's got an outside shot. He can heat up. The tough part is when you don't hustle and you're new to a franchise, you're trying to earn that contract, you got yourself pulled. That's really something that he needs to get over quick, and Stan Van Gundy needs to instill in him, hey, you got to come to work each and every night, and just because you're being talked about as a guy that could earn $14 to $15 million, you can't slack off. And do I think that he's going to get that contract? Yeah, he's going to get that contract with Detroit, and Stan Van Gundy's going to mold him. This is Stan Van Gundy's guy. This is the guy that is going to be the guy that he pins his time in Detroit on, Reggie Jackson. And if he doesn't perform, it's going to be a long, long time before the Pistons will be successful. Is he the problem right now? No. The Pistons right now, in Stan Van Gundy's system, it's shoot the three, try to get rebounds, try to play hard on defense. And right now, the spacing on the floor is terrible. They can't consistently make shots. They can't put together a 48-minute game. Another 10-game losing streak. Are you serious? And it just goes to show that Stan Van Gundy was willing to sacrifice this season to get the pieces that he wants to rebuild this team. Once Brandon Jennings went down, I don't think the Pistons cared either way if they made the playoffs. Initially, the early success was nice, but since then, Reggie Jackson and the Pistons' record has been abysmal, and they're going to look out there for guys that can shoot the basketball, consistently play hard on defense, and I have confidence in Stan Van Gundy that he can do that. Just look what happened when he had the team that he wanted and was firing on all cylinders. You had one of the best teams in the NBA, and you're starting the process of rebuilding. Is Reggie Jackson the guy? I'm hoping he is. Stan Van Gundy gave him the vote of confidence. Until I see or decide otherwise, he has my vote of confidence too. I can't believe that Doc said, buy the Pistons. Man.
Done, dude.
This is bad.
That's all I got for you, man. Good job.
The doctor's in session. Always great questions, cuz. I appreciate it.
Oh, my God.
It's that time of the show, cuz. It's the time for the Instagram account of the week.
Let's keep it pervy.
Haha, Instagram account of the week and the WTF Facebook posts. You know, when we're slacking, we get to, look at Facebook, look at some interesting posts. But the Instagram account this week, great stuff. You got to keep it with the brunettes. Instagram.com/ULDOUZ.
Oh my God.
My goodness, man. Majority of her pictures in lingerie and bikinis, over 1 million followers. Great stuff, cuz I mean, when you look at those pictures, she knows how to pose, she knows how to act. I think her profile is real simple, actress/model.
She got a nice booty, dude.
Instagram.com/ULDOUZ. What do you think? Good choice again for me, right?
Yeah, dude. You're doing a good job with these. She's got a nice booty, nice thick thighs. She's got real pretty eyes, nice hoots. What else we got going on here, dude? I mean, she's built. Let's be honest. She's built. Like, you definitely would not say no. Yeah, she looks real good, dude.
Now, the question is this.
Those some thick-ass thighs, though.
Do you have any problem with women that are actress/models who take these kind of pictures to promote themselves, a la Kim Kardashian and things like that? They're great accounts.
Kim Kardashian is not an actress/model. Kim Kardashian is garbage. She's like scum on the bottom of your shoe, dude. I wish she would just go someplace. Do I have a problem with these broads take these pictures? No, because I get to look at them. But, I mean, is it going to help your career? I don't know. I mean, are you trying to do porn? Are you trying to do, like, softcore porn? Are you trying to do, like, Cinemax movies? I mean, yeah, if that's going to do it. But, I mean, I don't know if you have any real acting skills.
No, man. It's
but
good
you look good.
I can't believe you're hating on Kim Kardashian.
Dude, she's awful. She's garbage. I wish
Why?
she'd go somewhere.
Why they hate?
She's trash, dude. Her whole family, they are all trash. Dude, she got famous off Ray J. She got famous off Ray J's dong. That's exactly what happened with Kim Kardashian. Let's be for real. If Ray J wasn't piping her down in that video, freaking Kris Jenner wouldn't have sat there and pumped that out for everybody. Now, you want to talk about an awful troll? You want to talk about a troll? Kris Jenner sitting there bootlegging videos of your daughter getting beat down with her guts by freaking Ray J and his monster hog. Come on, dude. What's wrong with you? All these people are awful. And you got Khloe Kardashian looking like a freaking gorilla. You know what I'm saying? Looks like a monster. And then you got Kourtney Kardashian, who's just, I don't know, she's a mess. And I really feel like her husband's got a coke problem and he beats her. And she's just stupid. She's like, oh, I fell into a coffee table again. Good for you. Good for you. And then you got Bruce Jenner, who's now what, Bruce Lee Jenner? I mean, he's got boobs and a vagina. Who knows what's going on there? It's a complete disaster. All of them, dude. All of them. They're all garbage, and all of them got famous off freaking Ray J's dong. Get out of here.
Oh, my God.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I disagree.
You would.
American capitalism at best.
I love you. I love you, Kim. I love you. You're the best. Get the hell out of here. And then her and freaking Kanye. There's another troll. I wish he would go somewhere. Can we put him in a box and ship him somewhere? Get the hell out of here.
All right. The Instagram account of the week. Check it out. Instagram.com. ULDOUZ. Oh, my goodness. Great stuff. And now, cuz scrolling through Facebook this week was great. Lots of laughs, lots of good stuff. But two posts definitely got my attention, and we'll weigh it out and see which one is the WTF post of the week. The first one is great. I mean, you got women who are at a basketball game courtside, and they're not paying attention, and they're looking at their phones, and all of a sudden you see in slow motion a basketball going toward this poor old woman's face. Bam, smack right in the face. And another example of when you go to a sporting event, you got to pay attention. And when you go to watch it, the best views are when they slow it down and she's looking at her phone and the ball's coming toward her face and smack right in the face. So when you're at a sporting event, especially courtside at a basketball game, how are you going to be looking at your phone? I mean, the action's right there. I mean, some people are so privileged, they just get to stroll up into the courtside seat, but poor old lady got smacked in the face. That's the first candidate. And the second candidate, when I saw this one, I was like, you got to be kidding me. There's a dude who just has a bad habit. And his bad habit is when he feels like he's bored or wants to, express himself, drops his pants and dookies on people's cars.
Oh my God.
And and he got caught and 19 times admitted to dropping his pants and dropping a deuce on cars. And people were like, this is going on over years. This just happened where he got discovered. People in the community were just kind of like, what's going on? They'd go out to their car, go out to the newspaper, hot pile of crap sitting on their car. When you saw that, I'm sure I sent it. I don't know, was that the first time you saw it was when I sent it to you today?
No, I've seen both those before.
Okay. What was your reaction? What do you think?
I think the winner's got to be the guy who poops on cars. I mean, what the heck is that? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you roll around with Vinny Stubbs and get drunk and do stuff like that? I mean, that'd be the only reason that would make any sense to me, right? But yeah, no. I mean, the one lady looking at her phone, I mean, you watch basketball games, people are always looking at their phones. Her face getting blowed up, though, was awesome, especially when they slow it down. But the dude who poops on cars, like, what is your major malfunction? You got something wrong with you, dude. You need to, like, they need to come in and sit with you and talk to you. I would just put rubber sheets on my couch if I was you. That way they don't poop on it.
19 occasions. My goodness. Yeah, so
ridiculous.
So when I saw that, that definitely was the candidate and eventually the winner of the Doc and Jock WTF Facebook post of the week. All right, cuz let's take a quick break. Let's get into some Red Wings and let's get into some NFL news after this quick break. DetroitSportsPodcast.com, Doc and Jock, episode 84. Definitely check out the guys at the Detroit Sports Nation, DetroitSportsNation.com. Great website. They are unbelievable. They are killing it on Facebook. Give them a like at their Facebook page, Detroit Sports Nation, and definitely check out their website, DetroitSportsNation.com. Our collaboration with them has been excellent, and they continue to be a strong presence here on the podcast because they bring the noise and they have great content. So thank you guys again. We can't thank you enough.
You're the future of our business, and I know when you guys have a podcast like this, our future is in good hands.
You got to check out their stuff. I mean, I'm really impressed by it. You guys have probably one of the better ones I've seen in the country.
Wow.
In a short period of time, you've done good work. Look at me kissing your hand.
I know. Was that some Nasty Nas right there?
You got it.
Oh, that's my dog right there.
You like
Nasty
that?
Nas murders Jay-Z all day. I don't care who you are, what you got to say. Get at me on Twitter. I'll battle you all day. Nas murders Jay-Z all day long.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Nas is the truth, bro. Nas, everybody's like, oh, Nas only put out like one really good album, this and that. But his album still reigns supreme. And Jay-Z's never put out anything that's ever come close. Ever.
Okay.
Ever. Nas is the man, dude.
The hip-hop aficionado breaking it down. All right, cuz, I'll give you a chance to decide. What do you want to chat about? Are you interested in what's going on with the Red Wings or the new recent story regarding the NFL and players retiring?
Dude, this was it Chris Borland thing. This is your deal, so let's just go with that. Let's get this out of the way real quick.
Okay, yeah, the question...
You have this giant love affair with this story. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, because you know what? This story is one of those stories that's kind of the end result of some things we've been talking about throughout the course of this podcast. We've been doing this podcast for about a year and a half, and we've been talking about player safety, whether this is a new league in terms of, you know, the league putting an emphasis on player safety, restricting the hits. Now the story is taking on a new level where players are deciding, hey, got enough money in the bank, I'm rolling, and they're taking a serious look at, is it really worth it to play in the NFL for all this money? Knowing that there's been players that have committed suicide, quality of life, there's been numerous Real Sports editions where they've shown players that are drooling. I put the question on Twitter earlier this week and kind of asked our listeners and followers, hey, and I'm interested to get your opinion. I asked, hey, if you were given the choice, knowing that, hey, you could have $35 million in the bank guaranteed, but you'd know that you'd have brain damage at 50 years old, would you take that?
How long of a career are we talking that I'm playing in the NFL to acquire this amount of money?
Let's say, the question is just real simple. A full career, let's say 8 years, 30, 31. You play 8 years, from 22 to 31. You're knowing that you're going to play a solid, decent career. You're going to play 8 years. You're going to have $35 million in the bank, but you know that you're going to have brain damage at 51 years old.
Apparently, I'm not a very good player. If I'm playing 8 years, I only have that much money. How severe is my brain damage? Like, am I more special than I am now? Because I'm pretty special, dude.
You know what the brain damage can cause? It can cause probably, at the very minimum, headaches, sleep problems, mood disturbances, and then at the very worst,
got all those
ALS.
problems anyways, dude. Yeah, I would take the money and play, man. I really think this is, especially with Chris Borland, I think this is just, he sat there, he weighed the pros and the cons. I mean, the guy only made I think it was $420,000 last year. I mean, he wasn't even an upper echelon player. He was tracking that way, and the way it looked like he was gonna be the next guy, and possibly extend his contract and make some good money. But I think it's a personal decision. You have to weigh the pros and the cons there. And for me, yeah, it's a lot of money, but I'm in a different situation than him, right? I mean, I sit here in the studio with you and we do a podcast together, right? I don't have the potential to do what this guy does. This guy has the potential now, since he's played in the league and he was a good enough player in college. He can go on and be a color commentator now. He can go on and there are other avenues for him. Plus, he already got that first year's check. So that gives him a little bit of a cushion where if he invested it right, did things the right way, he can live off that for a little bit till he figures out what he wants to do. So I don't have a problem with this decision. And if other players want to make that decision, I don't have a problem with that decision either. I think it's up to you. It's up to what you have going on. Would I take the money and play? Yes. And from what I understand, he loves the game of football. So this isn't one of those deals where he's kind of like, oh, well, you know, I lost my passion for the game. No, this guy loves the game of football. It's just he doesn't want to deal with this anymore. I've had concussions. I'm pretty sure you've had concussions.
Never had a concussion. Nope.
Dude, I've had a concussion where I've had no idea how I even got back to the bench, right? I have no clue. I just ended up there and I just kind of sat there and looked around and I was dazed. And, you know, I dealt with all the crap that happened after it. But you know what? I continued to play the game. You know, I never stopped. It just kept going. You just keep going. And for him, he just didn't want to have to deal with it anymore. He didn't want to have to keep going like that. And he didn't want to have to keep doing that. So I understand. And I think this is a very personal decision for him. And I think if that's what your heart tells you, then good for you. But I take the money. I take the money all day.
No, see, I disagree completely. Now that you look at it, knowing the risk, if you know you and I are blessed to have boys and have sons in the future, I would not steer them to play professional NFL football. If they said that, I would say, listen, here are the risks. Here's the likely potential risks. The money's not guaranteed. It's a violent sport, a lot of collisions. You are one play away from significant health problems. So I would start to now tell my son and tell my nephew, play baseball. If you have potential in baseball, your money's guaranteed. Where you go out, you have a freak accident, you blow out your knee, you know, even if you just get out of your Rolls Royce and you twist your ankle, it's guaranteed money. You're guaranteed money for the rest of your life. And in football, I think the reason why this story is a big deal and people are talking about it is it's planting the seeds of, is there going to be an NFL in 15 years? Is the sport, I mean, dude, these guys aren't getting smaller.
Dude,
these guys are getting huge.
There will always be an NFL. It is America's #1 sport. There will always be an NFL. It won't be as violent as it once was. I mean, you see it right now. They sit there and they manage and they litigate almost every hit that goes on right now in the league. You're not allowed to sit there and hit a quarterback below the knees anymore. That used to be totally legal. You can't sit there and if you go in and you go to try to pass block a quarterback and you graze their helmet, that's a 15-yard flag now. That was never a penalty before. You used to be able to come across the middle and dudes would clothesline you. You can't do that anymore. You know, I mean, dudes used to sit there and just unload into you. And now if you get hit too hard and you bounce your head off the turf, the refs are generally throwing a flag and they're coming up with some type of call. You know, you can't use your head anymore to hit guys, whereas before you could. So I think they'll end up just litigating all of the big hits out of the sport, and that's just what's going to happen.
See, when we ask that question, is there going to be an NFL? 5 years ago, you'd say absolutely there's going to be an NFL. But right now, you got lawsuits. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The league is changing. Is it going to be as popular?
It won't be the same NFL. It won't be what it is in 2014 and 2019. 2019, it'll be totally different than it is in 2014. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That's why
the 2015 season is going to be a little bit different than the 2014 season, and the 2015 season will be totally different than the 2019 season, or the 2020 season, or the 2025 season. The game will evolve. The game always evolves. It's what happens. The equipment evolves. The players evolve. That's why they're bigger, faster, stronger now, right? I mean, the equipment now protects a lot better than the equipment used to protect back then. That's part of the reason why these guys sit there and throw themselves at you like they're missiles. That's just what happens. There will be a league. You don't have to worry about it. There's too much money. There's too much money, dude. That's where it all, see, it's what you got to realize. It's always about dollars over cents, man. Always about dollars over cents. If you got the sense to say, hey, there probably shouldn't be an NFL because it causes too many bodily injuries, that's good. That's your sense, right? It's your 2 cents anyways. But there's dollar bills to be made, and the NFL is going to make all those dollar bills. And they're going to rake them in. They're going to put them in a giant vault in a giant cave, and they're going to sit there and slap NFL on everything. And Roger Goodell is going to sit on his throne and scratch his ass with $100 bills. That's what's going to happen, dude.
See, the part that's worrisome is you can kind of see some of the storylines that we could be talking about down the line. You could have a player have a severe injury. You could have a player in their prime of their career, have a brain injury and cause damage. Look what's happened. You've had players who've gone into the facility and committed murder at the facility. These players, are having severe dementia. They're having severe depressive issues. You look at a guy like Titus Young, to bring it close to home to the Detroit Lions. That guy
was just off, though. You can't blame that on football. That guy was messed up from the get. They should never.
I would bet that if you look at his brain, there's some weird splotches going on. I don't think Titus Young was that way. I think football did that to him.
The 1 year he spent in the NFL did that to him?
Yeah.
No.
Everybody reacts differently.
Dude, he was different. He was different in college, too.
Dude, I'm telling you, when you look at these guys' brains and they're splicing them open.
You're so wrong on this.
They get spliced and diced, and there probably is a weird.
You're right. His brain is probably all full of spots. It looks like a damn leper. But What does that got to do with anything, dude? He was crazy when they drafted him. They took a flyer on that guy, and they took an early round flyer too, which was stupid. Stupid. He was crazy when they got him. He was nuts, dude. If that guy could have dressed up in an axe and slash with their friggin' shoulder pads, he'd have went out there and did that, looking like a weirdo.
Yeah, good job, Lions psychological evaluating team saying this guy was a potential winner. But I think
he was off the chain.
He was off the chain.
Dude, he sat there and robbed like a mattress company or something like that. Come on, dude. That guy needs a Serta.
This story is interesting now because you got Patrick Willis retiring early. Now you got a player who's in his early 20s retiring early. You're going to have a potential league now. And I understand the majority of the players need to be between their early 20s and 30 years old. The majority of time now, teams are just cutting guys before they even hit 29, 30, knowing that their play is going to decline. We don't want to pay them that much money. But this story has legs because a player who weighed the options decided that, you know what, this sport is not for me. And because a lot of players are not signing up to play football. Enrollment in football leagues all across the country, it's starting. It's not a problem that's going to happen now, but it's starting. It's the roots are starting, and we've talked about it. This is a significant issue. The issue of player safety, what these big hits are doing to these guys, is something that's going to be looked at and talked about a lot more going forward. And it's an interesting story that a guy at this point in time in 2015 said, you know what, screw this, I'm out. Interesting story.
I don't have a problem with this decision, dude. I think it's great. I think that's a good thing. Good for you. Good for you to make that decision, to realize where you're at in your life and what you want to do and how you want to live 50 years from now. I think that's awesome. I think that takes some courage. And he did what was right for him and his family. I think it was okay. I see where the storyline is there, because the worry is, will we have an NFL later? Will all players start to do this? But it's not going to affect every guy. Every guy's situation is different. And some guys are like me, man. They'll take the $35 million in the bank and sit there, and in 50 years, they won't be able to eat anything because it's all going to have to be ground up baby food, and they'll be drooling on themselves and peeing on themselves, and they're cool with that. I'm not as panicked by this as you are. You seem to be quite nervous and concerned about this, and that this is going to affect the game that you love. It's not. The NFL will always be there. They're just going to change a lot of the rules and legislate a lot of the hits. It's what happens. They're already doing it. You see it now.
Yeah, but also, too, realize these players...
As a running back, you can't even use your head to sit there and break through a line anymore.
Right, but the question is going to be, in 5 or 10 years, are these group of players going to have significant hits? Because they're not going to be hit as often, but these guys are huge. They're 300-pound guys trying to tackle you and smash you. And everyone always follows the dollar. Look at the lawsuits. Everyone always follows the dollar. Look at the lawsuits. These lawsuits aren't going away. If the league treated these guys better in terms of how they treat them when they're done in their careers, okay, I wouldn't be as panicked. But these guys get like nothing. They get a pension. And if you don't manage your money right, at this point in time, because 70% of players that leave the NFL are broke.
Yeah.
Big ball in. And
that's because you make dumb decisions, man. You got to realize that as an NFL player, you got about a 3 to 5 year window. And you need to make it that 3 to 5 year window so you can get that pension. You know, and you just got to make sure that while you're in there for that 3 to 5 years, you invest properly. You know, you got to have your safety net ready by the time you hit 25. So when you hit 30, you can sit there and you can be like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm good. I'm done. You get that second big contract. You play through that second big contract, and then you get out. You leave, you know? Or you sit there and you find something else to do. You know, you don't sit there and think that money's going to last, because that well dries up. And, you know, you just got to be smart about it. I think, you know what really bothers me is when you watch these guys get interviewed during college football games, or you watch these guys get interviewed after a college basketball game, and they just sound retarded. Like, they just sound illiterate. Like, you know that you're not going to school to go to school. You're going to school to play basketball or to play football. And it's pretty obvious what you're doing, right? So you just, like, I feel like if you're a student athlete, and I use student athlete with finger quotes around it, there should be at least one class while you're in college. Right, maybe it's your sophomore year, because I think every now and almost every league now, you've got to be at least 2 years removed from high school to play in. So maybe it's your sophomore year. You got to take like a financial class where they teach you about investing your money and how to be smart with it. Because I feel like when these players come out, dude, it's like all about making it rain at the titty bar and hanging out at the club and buying all your boys' cars and buying all your boys' houses, and then sitting there buying, you know, bottles of Cristal and Mo, and just sitting there popping bottles. And it's not like that, man. Like, you got to prepare for real life. You got to be smart about this. Don't be a dummy.
That's exactly right. And that's why this issue has so many layers to it. It's so interesting in terms of money, controlling your health, how to manage, you know, a lifestyle. And a guy decided that it wasn't worth it. Very interesting choice.
I applaud him.
Interesting stuff. All right, let's switch gears. Let's hit on the Red Wings. Man, oh man, cause Mike
Goalie
Babcock
controversy, bro. Goalie controversy.
It's a big topic, and and I think Mike Babcock's making a mistake. He's making a mistake.
Oh, Babs is?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. What's going on? What's your thoughts here, bro?
Here's the mistake.
Tell me.
Okay.
Tell me. Fill me in.
Jimmy Howard is getting peppered, and the defense is playing horrid. He admits it. You know, he kept him in the game versus Philly when the defense basically hung Howard out to dry.
Mm-hmm.
Next day, puts in Mrazek.
Mm-hmm.
Mrazek stands on his head, plays an outstanding
Looks like
game.
a stud.
42 saves. They ask him, okay, who's your starting goalie for tonight's game? He doesn't say. You know, it's been a minute since he said it. So now, once you put that out there that you're weighing it, now it's starting to percolate. Okay, behind the scenes, are they thinking, okay, do we look at the film and say, hey, do we really go with Mrazek? And everyone, you know, polarizing. It's either, I don't think there's too many people in the middle on the fence. You either are a Howard guy or you're a Mrazek guy. And I put my flag in the sand, and I've decided that, hey, I don't think this team is a Stanley Cup winning team as is anyway. You know, I don't think that this team, the way they're playing now and their ability to make a deep run and win 4 playoff series is at the point where we can win a Stanley Cup. Okay, yeah, they can make a run. They can play well. Can they win the Stanley Cup? Win it all? Win 4 series? I don't think so just yet. So with either Howard or Mrazek. So with that said, knowing where they're at, stick Mrazek in there, start the development, let him get the playoff experience, put him in. And the point I go back to is Chris Osgood was a young, fresh-faced goalie. He was put in there on a great team, a team that had the likes of Steve Yzerman in his prime, a team that had so much talent offensively. Puts him in a series. They're overwhelming favorites versus San Jose. They lose in 7 games. I think that was the time they were the 1 seed. You know, if my memory is correct, it could be wrong, but they were a 1 seed and they lost to San Jose. And all everyone remembers is Chris Osgood crying, getting emotional. But dude, I think that helped him develop and become the competitor that he was. And so I think we're in the same situation. And Mrazek, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I'm not a hockey snob. I could be wrong. But I think from my eyes, from what I see, Mrazek's a better goalie today than Howard. Stick him in the net, ride it. And if I'm fully expecting that he could struggle. We could go out in the first round. It's fine. Let him get that experience. I don't see why you would delay his progress 1 more year when you know and everyone's watching. He's the better goalie as we speak. I don't care what anyone says. He's the better goalie. From what my eyes see, Peter Mrazek's the better goalie early March right now.
I totally agree with you. But Jimmy Howard's going to start against the Florida Panthers tonight. I'm going to tell you why. If you look at Jimmy Howard and you look at the way he's played since he's come back from his injury, it's all confidence. It's all between his ears. I mean, going into right when he sat there and hurt his groin, he was an all-star goaltender. He was one of the top 3 in the league. And then since he's come back, he's been up and down. He's been real inconsistent, hasn't looked very good. So this is what's going to happen. Because the Florida Panthers, they're not a bad team. They're not a great team. They're not a bad team, though. They're not the Tampa Bay Lightning. Because you got to remember, we're going back-to-back. We're going Thursday and we're going Friday in Florida, where the ice is crap because it's always warm and humid. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to start Jimmy Howard to get him some confidence against Florida because you have a better shot of beating Florida than you do Tampa Bay. And the last 2 times that you've played Tampa Bay with Jimmy Howard, you've lost. And that's where you're going to start Peter Mrazek. You're going to get Mrazek in against Tampa, and you're going to really see what you got. If Mrazek can steal you a win against Tampa Bay Lightning, and he looks good like he looked against Pittsburgh, dude, then we have a real issue here because then I think you might be right. I think you have to then make this call. You have to have a short leash with Howard, and you got to pull him, and you got to throw Mrazek in, and I guess feed Mrazek to the wolves, man. See what he gets you.
Why are people so adverse to putting him in? It's like you have this group of people that when you say, put in Peter Mrazek, they get all up in arms like, what? A young goalie? I mean, what do you think? Quick was a guy who was like 28 years old when he first started winning cups? No, he was in his early 20s, 24, 25, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of the problem is it's a contract. You know, Howard's got a bigger contract than Mrazek does. Howard's been here longer, so just by seniority, I guess. And I think everybody wants to see if Howard is a flash in the pan or not. You know, is he worth it? Is he worth us spending all this money on him? Because if you start Mrazek and you play Mrazek during the playoffs and Mrazek wins you a series or 2, something that Jimmy Howard has yet to do. Jimmy Howard has yet to win you a playoff series, right?
No, he's won a playoff series. He just hasn't taken you far.
He hasn't.
He has
the guy
himself.
Yeah, he by himself has not won you a playoff series, right? He's won playoff series, but the team has won playoff series. So if you put Mrazek in and Mrazek wins you a playoff series, Now what do you do with Jimmy Howard? You now have this young stud, and you have to play him. And now you've got a $4 million backup, and you got a starter making, league minimum? How does that work? What do you do? And you don't want to. It's a great situation to have for anybody in the NHL. It's a great situation to have 2 goaltenders who could be deserving to start your games. It's an incredible thing to have. It's a great problem to have, especially for Mike Babcock. And hopefully he comes back next year. It'd be a great problem to have. Even by Babcock's tenor, after the game in Pittsburgh, he did everything in his power not to destroy Howard's confidence and put that on the team, while at the same time really pumping up Mrazek and being like, yeah, Pete's good. Pete's going to be real good. So I agree with you, but I think that Howard's going to start against Florida, and I think Mrazek gets against Tampa Bay. I'm going to put my balls on the table right here. I'm going to push all in. I might be wrong. I could be wrong. I have no idea what's going on in Babcock's head, but that's what I would do.
Okay. Just looking at the Wings real fast. Dude, what's their problem in Philadelphia? Freaking since 1997 when we won back-to-back games there in the Cup Finals. We've just been destroyed. And listen, okay.
It's crazy.
The past couple of years, they've used to have big teams and physical teams with a lot of talent. But the last couple of years, Philly's just been, so-so. We just go into Philadelphia and crap the bed. What's the deal?
I don't know. Sometimes you just play in a place and you just get snake bit. It becomes all in your mind, man. And it's all mental. You can't get out of your own way. You can't make good passes. You don't play the puck off the boards right. You don't do a lot of the things the way you're supposed to do them. I mean, they look brutal in that game. Their power play sucked. Their penalty kills sucked even more. I mean, they sucked. They looked bad. Defensively, they looked horrible. They were out of position. Offensively, they couldn't get anything going. So I think it's one of those places where I think it's all in their head. I think once they get that first win, and it's a convincing win, I think they'll be okay. And I think that they'll sit there and they'll rattle off a few, and then you won't go on a streak like this. Because this is going on.
Yeah, and some good news
8
too.
years now.
Darren Helm is probably going to be in the lineup tonight versus Florida. He'll bring some speed and some scoring touch. So right now, cuz the Wings are sitting, 6 points behind Tampa Bay and Montreal, who are, sitting first in the Atlantic. How do you see things shaking out the rest of the way?
I think they got a real good chance to sit there and put some wins together and make a push for first overall in the Atlantic. I don't think they'll get it done, though. I think Carey Price is playing too well. I think Tampa Bay's got a little bit too much firepower for the Wings to catch them at this point in the season. So I think that we'll end up going on the road to play Tampa Bay and when the playoffs start. But I think they're going to put some wins together. I think they're going to go on a little bit of a run here. And it'll be interesting to see if Jimmy Howard gets hot or if it's Peter Mrazek that they lean on for the rest of the way. And I think that's going to be the real question here. Which guy do you go with? Who do you sit there and who do you ride into the playoffs? And Babcock has no problem whatsoever sitting there running either with 2 goalies or sitting there leaning on Mrazek. Because when he was in Anaheim, I think there was one season where he played 8 or 9 goaltenders, just different ones, just rotating them in until he found the one that worked.
So I was just recapping, hearing what you said. You're putting your nuts on the table that says that Jimmy Howard is going to play tonight versus Florida.
Yep.
And
Mrazek will play against.
Mrazek's going to play. You want to make a bet?
What are we betting? I hate when I bet with you because I always end up having to wear something stupid or look like a retard.
That's funny stuff.
For you,
Subway, 6-inch Subway Club.
All right, we can do that.
Okay, now I'm going to be a gentleman.
That's right.
I'm going to be a gentleman.
6 inches all up in your mouth.
No.
That's how you like it, dude. That's how you like it.
I'm going to be a gentleman. Word just came down. Babcock said Peter Mrazek will start in net Thursday, while Jimmy Howard will start the next day.
What?
In Tampa
Are
Bay.
you serious?
It just came down. DetroitNews.com.
No way, for real?
DetroitNews.com.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm not going to hold you to that.
I
just
know
saw
absolutely nothing about hockey, apparently.
No, that's funny.
Really?
It just came down. It just broke. So come on. We're just 2 guys recording it, and it's good stuff. So
damn,
you were wrong.
I was wrong.
Absolutely.
That's all right. You know what? He's testing Howard's mettle. That's what he's doing.
Mrazek's the hot guy. I would play Mrazek both nights. I mean, he's doing convention, but play Mrazek versus Florida, play him versus Tampa Bay, get him as much experience as he needs, man.
He wants to see, what he's doing is he wants to see how much, he wants to see what Jimmy Howard has in him, man. Because this is who you're going to be playing in the playoffs right now. If the playoffs started right now, you'd be playing Tampa Bay. So he wants to see what Howard's got and see if they can get a win because I think this will be the last time they play this season. I'm not sure. I have to look at the schedule. But anyways, they've lost twice to him. And the one was not even real good.
All right.
Mrazek looked real bad against them. He did.
Right.
He gave up. That was that 5-goal game that you were like, oh, we got to send him down, and he sucks. So, yeah, you're right. I just sat there and thought about that. Remember that. Well, we'll see what happens.
All right. To end this bad boy, let me ask you this. NHL general managers are going to recommend a new 3-on-3 overtime format. and a coach's challenge to determine goaltender interference calls.
I like it.
You think it?
Yeah, I hate the shootout. Everybody's like, oh, the shootout's the greatest play ever. You know what's special about the shootout? A shootout's great when it's in the middle of a game. It sucks to decide games. It's horrible to decide games. It's a disaster. And I hate that stupid, you get 1 point for just making it to a shootout. It's retarded.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I would like them to go 5-on-5 regulation, go 4-on-4 for your first overtime, go 3-on-3 for a second overtime, and then you just end in a tie.
Yeah, and Babcock was quoted saying anything to avoid a home run competition at the end of the game. He prefers a 3-on-3 than going to a shootout.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I agree.
I like the old tradition. Just 5-on-5, game's over, tie, point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Play 5 minutes and then, tie.
Yeah, too many gimmicks.
Yeah.
Too many gimmicks.
You try sitting there and adding too much flavor to the game.
You got it.
You don't need to do that.
All right, because another great podcast. This is the greatest weekend for all of sports. March Madness, good stuff. Get a chance to relax, watch the Red Wings, see how they shake out playing Mrazek and Howard. And we got to continue to watch the Tigers and Pistons and see how things shake out. Good podcast, Lions free. I think Lions free is stress free, and it's a good way to be Lions free for a couple weeks.
That's right.
All right. For the Jock Adams Rosinski, I am the Doc John Macaroon. Please drive safely, avoid the potholes, unlike the Jock, my co-host here. See y'all next week. This has been episode 84 in the books.
Go Wings. I love you, Kim. I love you. You're the best.
I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.